Hello and welcome back to FT Business School. We hear so much these days about the problems of getting women on corporate boards, but do the real problems begin much lower down organisations, at middle management level? Elizabeth Kelan, Professor of Leadership at Cranfield School of Management, argues just this, and that male middle managers have a critical role to play. So, Professor Kelan, why are male middle managers cast as the bad guys in this scenario?
They're not cast as the bad guys at all, actually. They're cast as those people who can actually help us to advance gender equality in organizations. So in my research, I take a look at how those male middle managers can actually facilitate positive gender change.
Right. So, I mean, just put some figures on this. I mean, what proportion of middle managers just are men and what proportion are women?
So if you look at middle management, you have around 70% of middle managers who are men and the rest are women. So they form a majority and are therefore very important for change. But also if you think about the hierarchical position, they're all managing other people, so they will have, an impact on those careers as well. So they're very important from a numerical as well as hierarchical position.
Yeah. So what are the big problems here? Is it behaviour or is it language or is it both?
As a matter of fact, we say it's both. It's what you say as well as what you do, right? So very often we need to call out bias. So we need those middle managers to, be aware of when bias is happening and actually point us towards those situations when it does.
Right. So, I mean, there's a bad behaviour here we're talking about here. Is this what your research concentrates on? What should be eliminated from behaviour?
I think it's not just bad behaviour as such. It's sometimes things just come out wrong, in the struggles of everyday work life, you're very busy getting our jobs done, and sometimes, comments might just be a bit off. However, that can have a strong effect on women, right? If you're always overlooked in a meeting situation and your contribution is never acknowledged, you're in a big problem, right? And you lose your motivation to stay in the workplace, you lose your confidence and all the rest of it. So if you encounter such a situation, it would be absolutely important that there's a man in the room who actually says, oh, didn't Charlotte mention that beforehand?
Right. So, I mean, how can men change behaviour? I mean, what behaviour do they need to change?
So, I think in the past we looked a lot at how women need to change to fit better into workplaces. And what we are now looking at is how men can make a contribution too. And it relates to things like, celebrating and encouraging women. So if a woman is a bit shy to go for promotion, just, showing her that she is ready to make that next step. The same is true for things around taking a big role in gender parity initiatives. So it might be, that your organization has, some change program around gender equality, and it's often women who are given roles in that, but actually we should have men there as well who actually help to move gender equality forward.
Right. So it's very easy really to talk about changing behaviour, but I suspect it's incredibly hard to do that, isn't it? If you have identified something that you need to change, I mean, how do you make sure you do change it?
I think you're pointing to a really relevant problem. Most of these things are subconscious. We're not aware of that we're doing those things. So what is quite important here is that we have this time in our day when we reflect about those things, reflect about situations that might have gone wrong and how you could have put it right. And then the next time, in a similar situation, you'll have more behaviors to draw on if you want to make a change happen.
Professor Kelan, thank you very much indeed. For more on business school research, go to ft.com/business education.